be flexible in terms of, talking to people, continue to learn everything about real estate, talk to as many folks as possible, right? For me personally, I remember when I started this about 6 years ago, I was literally on the phone consistently every day after work, just on the phone.
Yeah.
Trying to network with as many folks. And there's 1.5 million folks that are 100% smarter than me. I'm just trying to learn from them, right? What mistakes did they make? And for me, I wanted to make sure, hey, I don't make the same mistakes, because in real estate, right, one mistake, sure, it might be a couple of $1,000s
Sure.
in single family,
Yeah.
but that's going to wipe out your entire, operating income for the year.
Absolutely. Your network is your net worth. Come listen to some of the most successful people I know share invaluable knowledge, stories, and advice in real estate, business, and beyond. This is Weiss Advice. Whether you want to take your business or personal life to the next level, look no further. Welcome back to Weiss Advice. I am your host, Yona Weiss. I hope you're doing good today. I'm doing pretty good. I'm here with Apurva Shah. Thank you for joining me. What's going on?
Awesome. Thank you, Yona. Thank you for having me on here.
Oh, it's my pleasure. This is a lot of fun because I get to have conversations with people that I like all day long. I get to record it and share it with whoever's listening to it right now. So thank you for joining and listening into our conversation. We're little background. I'd love to introduce you to Apurva. He is a real estate investor, but he's got something unique about it because not a lot of people are full-time, fully employed, right? Full-time job, W-2 job, and also control over $30 million in real estate investments, which is crazy because when you think about a real estate business, a lot of people think, well, this is a full-time job in it, but we're going to hear from today from Apurva what that means and how he's able to do it. What's that experience like? How he's gotten, scaled up that business and continues to do it while still working as a product manager for a very large corporation. So, Apurva, without further ado, tell me a little bit about how you first got involved in real estate.
Sure. So thank you, Yona, definitely for having me. Yeah, so jumping right into it, real estate. I started when I was in high school. I absolutely love real estate. I learned a lot from my family. So my family basically does conversions for luxury condos. So they take office buildings, build out luxury condos that are underperforming, and start renting them out, and then sell the asset, kind of keep doing it over and over again.
Right.
So for me, I started in high school, wanted to learn that family business, learn the developer side of it, learn the office buildings, how to manage that side of it. And then I went to school in New York, and then, did engineering and learned that aspect of it and said, okay, cool. I learned a lot with my family. I want to start doing something on my own. Moved down to Raleigh, North Carolina, said, okay, hey, let me try flipping some houses. That's a unique way to start. Start small. For me, I was very conservative in how I wanted to invest and spend our money and things like that. So started flipping houses in Raleigh. Was absolutely amazing. You'll see there's a lot of different pieces that need to happen with that. But
right.
We had a great run. Built a pretty large capital stack, and then from there started investing in multifamily and mobile home parks, right, and started just diversifying that portfolio.
Awesome. So it's really interesting because you have kind of a great background in that you grew up around real estate, right? Meaning your family was doing it and you had that experience coming firsthand from those around you. And even though it was a very kind of unique business model, not unique in the sense that not other people are doing it. There are plenty of people doing condo conversions, but it's something that is kind of unique in the overall real estate world. When you think about investing, you think about real estate investing, and people talk about single families and fix and flips and multifamily and commercial. That's kind of a great type of investment that allows you to see a lot more of like the construction and the project management of things. So I'm curious to know, did that all influence you in the type of job that you went into?
Not really, to be completely frank, right? So My dad's background, he's an electrical engineer. He started his own firm, when he came to America, originally from India, and he started investing in himself.
Mm,
He wanted to create a business, and for him, engineering was the way to go.
yeah.
And I saw that growing up, right? I saw, oh, like electrical engineering is this really cool way to, learn and play with toys and things like that and build things. And for me, I really wanted to do the same thing.
Oh, cool.
So for me, one of my role models obviously is my father. But that being said, I saw that engineering side, and then as I transitioned, started getting into high school, and then I also saw what he was doing on the side, which was also real estate, and started doing this on a larger scale. And now, obviously, I'm much older, and he doesn't do any of that engineering side of it anymore. He's primarily focused in on real estate. And for me, it was kind of like, okay, well, hey, engineering is a great way to start. Learn your fundamentals. Learn, you'll see what goes into houses and different things like that, and you can apply a lot of that knowledge
Yeah.
into how you invest in real estate.
Oh, very interesting. Okay. Well, I mean, I guess that translates, right? Translates,
Yeah,
like everything you do translates into
of course, yeah.
into how you do it. Now, you work, before we get more into the real estate side of things, I'm really curious about the job that you have, the company you work for. So this is a very large, right, publicly traded company. What is it that you actually do there? I mean, you talk about playing with toys and, building things and stuff, but what do you do as an engineer?
Sure. So I am a product manager for our modular solutions group. So in English, basically what that means is
Yeah.
I help build substations for utilities. So take a mobile home park, right?
Mhm.
It's all these like little modular boxes all along the parks, right? All along a piece of land. Substations are very similar, right? So what we're doing is taking transformers, voltage regulators, all kinds of different electrical gear, putting them on these large skids and inputting them into and connecting them into their like utility infrastructure. So that's my day to day is, hey, let's work and build that out for different customers.
Gotcha. Okay. And so you're working with, teams to do that.
Correct. Yep. Yeah. So we have a number of different folks we work with. We have application engineers, and most of the folks that we have on our team are all very engineering focused.
Well, that's good. Okay. Does anyone else, I'm just curious because it's such a big company you're working with. Does anyone else invest in real estate? I mean, they see what you're doing. Do you ever talk about that at work?
I do, yeah. So I love real estate, so I talk to almost everyone about it. So yeah, I mean, actually some of our investors that are in our real estate business come from my day job. A
Awesome.
lot of the folks that we've just have a really good conversation, and they see what we're doing. We're seeing they're like, hey, I really want to invest in real estate. It seems like a passive way to make some money for them as they're
Right.
continuing to do their thing on their day job on the W-2 side of it. And for us, we're like, well, hey, let's make money together. Let's figure
Awesome.
out a way to do this.
Awesome. And so is the goal for you to continue, this kind of, this lifestyle or this process, full time? You got these great investors, partners, people in your business. You have your partner who's also working with you on the multifamily and on the mobile home park deals. Is that how you plan, see 5-10 years from now? Or are you, planning on transitioning more full time into the real estate business as things grow?
Yeah, so definitely a great question. I get asked that quite a bit. And for me, I think the biggest thing here is networking and growth. So being able to grow in a organic fashion with real estate, we're going to continue down this path. I think 2020 was a great year. 2021, I'm sure we're going to continue to grow this business. And at the same time, there's only so much time in a day, right? You can't sustain working
Right.
17-hour weeks or 17-hour days every single day. So I think after a while, we'll probably have to transition as we get there. I do see us going into real estate as a full-time portion, versus just doing it. Hey, we have that W-2 job, but the same time having this business.
Yeah, I mean, you have, I'm sure you have partners, you have people that you work with, but as you
Yeah.
scale, I mean, presumably it's going to be difficult to have, you know, so many more properties, so many more without having, unless, you hire a team of other people to do that as well, right? To do those things that obviously there's not enough time in the day to do all
Yeah.
that you need to do.
And that's exactly what we're learning right now, right? We're in the process of bringing on an analyst. We're in the process of bringing on operations managers to help, with the day to day of, you're going to get phone calls from tenants. You're going to get all these different, items that need to line up,
Mm-hmm.
especially on the real estate side of it. So for me personally, I want to work on the business first, working in it and down in, working through, oh, hey, like this tenant has this issue, which is very important, and we want to make sure we take care of it. But as a manager,
Mm-hmm.
that's probably not something that we need to be working through.
Absolutely. I love that, because that's really the sign of a successful, CEO, a successful real estate investor, is someone that you're able to find the right people to do the things to make the deals and make the money, make everything work, not necessarily doing everything yourself.
Exactly.
But going through those steps and getting to where you got to at this point definitely helps you to figure out, what needs to get done. It doesn't necessarily need to be you to do it, but in the end of the day, you need to get it done.
Exactly.
Awesome. And your partner as well, does he have a similar background as you?
Yeah, so Jack Yen, he's a really phenomenal guy. I met him a few years ago. We just got together. It was just, hey, let's grab some coffee. Met down the street from where I live, and said, hey, what do you like real estate, and what are you doing in real estate? And he's like, yeah, I got this single family portfolio. It's doing really well, and I think it's time to grow. And we're like, well, I was in single family too, but let's do commercial, let's do multifamily, let's do mobile home parks. We were just on the same page, and it's been an incredibly fruitful relationship with him.
Awesome.
So for him, he also has a W-2 job. He's a data scientist. Definitely, he more on the cancer side of it. He's trying to cure cancer, which is very, very cool. But yeah, so that he's still continuing to work his full-time role.
Mm-hmm.
And then for both of us, we're trying to see what's the best way to transition.
Awesome.
and do that organic growth.
Awesome. Yeah. So let's get into some of the numbers here. We talked about 30 million in real estate assets. How many mobile home parks, how many multifamily units, if we can put a number on them right now?
Yeah. So let's see, 200 units or so in the Southeast for basically, for mobile home parks and multifamily combined.
Mm-hmm.
And then we have a large presence in the Northeast,
right,
with office buildings. So even though, we've transitioned and started doing stuff on our own away from my dad's business, we still have capital invested, and we're still helping support the growth and the development that's actually happening in the Northeast as well.
Awesome. Very good. What would you say, someone who's like you, someone who is, an engineer, data scientist, whatever it is, and they're in a W-2 job, and they're thinking to themselves, I want to get started in real estate investing as well, but I just don't see an opening. Like, what would you say would be the best advice, the best opening to just jump in?
Come talk to me. Or listen to White's advice.
His contact info is in the show notes. Okay. No, but seriously, like what?
So definitely, the biggest piece of advice I would say is be flexible, right? It's not easy, right? I completely understand, especially someone who works a number of hours a day, trying to focus in on their W-2 job. It's difficult to say, come home at 5 or 6 or 7 p.m. and say, oh, well, I want to do real estate now, instead of just vegetating on the couch and watching TV and eating. Mm-hmm. Right? So be flexible in terms of, talking to people, continue to learn everything about real estate, talk to as many folks as possible, right? For me personally, I remember when I started this about 6 years ago, I was literally on the phone consistently every day after work, just on the phone, trying to network with as many folks. And there's 1.5 million folks that are 100% smarter than me, just trying to learn from them, right? What mistakes did they make? And for me, I wanted to make sure, hey, I don't make the same mistakes, because in real estate, right, one mistake, sure, it might be a couple of $1,000
Sure.
in single family, but
Yeah,
that's going to wipe out your entire, operating income for the year.
absolutely. And that's probably why it's so difficult for people to scale in single families.
Yeah, that's exactly what we're seeing, right? I mean, you have to have a sizable portfolio, as well as it has to be location has to matter a lot,
Hmm.
right? When you invest in multifamily, sure, location still matters, but you still can invest in a great multifamily asset that's maybe a little bit further out away from a metro city versus, a single family house. You're not going to see the same appreciation, and the same cash flow as you
Hmm.
would on a multifamily asset. And
100%.
that's really why we said, okay, hey, like I think it's time, with the way the market is and how competitive everyone is, let's transition into the multifamily sector.
And mobile homes, which,
And, and
is
exactly.
similar, right? Similar asset class. Have you looked at other types of asset classes as well? Or just, obviously you had
So
the experience in office with your family, but
yeah,
there's a lot out there.
yeah, there's definitely a lot out there. We were toying with a car wash at one point. um, completely different, completely different ball game. I mean, that's more of a
It's a
business.
business, sure. Well,
Yeah,
all real estate's a business in the end of the day, but
that's true.
you're
Yeah.
dealing with much more business side of things on a car wash for sure than residential.
Exactly. So for us, we saw the asset, we put eyes on it, and we drove down there. Thought it was, I thought, we thought it's an interesting class. And for us, we said, okay, look, there's only so much time in a day for us specifically. Do we want to go and chase these, golden balls around, or do we want to create a business, scale conservatively, and continue to grow this on this side of it? Or do we want to, like,
Yeah,
spend all that brain power trying to learn a whole different, business versus, what we
absolutely.
already know?
Absolutely. Yeah. And you got to obviously use your brain energy, especially
Yeah,
when you don't have a full day to be doing it. Okay. You got to focus, maybe,
exactly.
maybe in 5-10 years from now, you can move into other things once you've conquered the multifamily and mobile home park space.
Exactly.
Awesome. So I want to just, transition right now. I think it's a great segue into the final four. And I'm really excited because Apurva, you are the first guest that I've had who actually knows the four questions that I'm about to ask before I asked it. And that just shows me that you are a faithful listener as well. So thank you for that. And I appreciate your 5-star review already, because it goes a long way. And I really do want to thank you for that, because we couldn't have this podcast. We couldn't have as much fun as we did, doing this, if it weren't for, all the listeners and everyone who's listening right now. So I appreciate that.
Yeah, no, and I appreciate you, right? Where the folks that are on your podcast, they're adding a lot of value to listeners like myself, and to others. So I think it definitely goes a long way, and I want to continue that trend. Hoping
Okay,
I'm
well,
adding value.
we'll definitely have one good episode coming up soon that you're going to listen to, and many more. Many more. We got an awesome lineup. So keep listening. Make sure you subscribe. If you haven't yet subscribed, do it right now. And let's just jump right into the final four. So the first question I ask is, what is the worst job that you ever had?
Yes. So great question. I've had a lot of different jobs in my time. And I would say probably the worst is when I was first starting out in real estate, flipping houses. So when we were first starting out, I was doing a lot of construction. We'd be done with an 8-hour day of working through our W-2 job, and then transitioning and going
Wow.
and trying to do some construction on a house.
Wow.
So we had a rental, and this story kind of pops out to me a lot. This, I think, it was like a $40,000 house. It was a rental. There, we were trying to get it ready to get a tenant in there, and we had to fix the floors, and we had to go through the crawl space and put down the vapor barrier.
Wow.
And so both my partner and I, we're in a hazmat suit with a big what was it, the mask.
Mask with a
And,
filter.
yeah, and we're just incredibly dirty, and just it was a nasty day. There's spiders all over us. It was not fun. Now, do I regret having it? Most definitely not, because those experiences helped transition and launch us to where we are now.
Right.
But I would say that was probably the dirtiest and worst job I've ever had.
Yeah, absolutely. I definitely, I can relate to that. Done some construction work, done some of that myself, but nothing I would like to go back to at any point. Second question: what is a book you've read that's given you a paradigm shift?
Yeah, so I would say A Ride of a Lifetime by Robert Iger. So I know has absolutely nothing to do with real estate, but it's a book that I had a number of takeaways from. So for me as an entrepreneur, for me owning my own business, you're constantly doing context switching, right? So one day you're planning strategy and you're trying to
Right.
figure out, okay, where are you going to take this business? Then the next moment you're like, oh snap, we have this problem with this tenant and you have to fix this, septic issue or whatever it is, right? So you have to context switch from, hey, this, professional and trying to understand the spreadsheets and all this fun stuff, into, hey, dealing with, a tenant and a concern that's coming up.
Right.
So with that book, the Robert Iger, he was the CEO of Disney. He kind of showed a lot of different stories where, over the last, 20, 30 years, he started from the bottom and kind of, grew and became the CEO of Disney, and shared a ton of stories around, it's okay to, like, one of the biggest takeaways for me was, take responsibility for when you screw up. There mistakes happen, it's inevitable, but take responsibility and figure a way to, see what you can
Right.
do next and learn from it.
Absolutely.
Right. So that was probably the biggest takeaway. And then, I take that to my day job. I take that to real estate investing. And I tell our employees that too. It's okay. We understand, mistakes are going to happen. We may calculate something wrong. We think whatever it is, it happens.
Right.
Let's just own up to it and let's make sure we don't have that happen again.
Absolutely. That's great. Great takeaways. I'm definitely going to add that one to the list. I haven't read that one yet. So thank you for that. And the third question, what's a skill or talent that you'd like to learn?
Yeah. So I kind of thought about this even before this podcast. I was like, what is this skill or talent that I want to learn? And one thing that comes to me is getting better at networking. What networking means to me is basically adding value to someone else. It isn't as easy as what a lot of people say. Oh, hey, just get on the phone, talk to someone, and call it a day. That's your networking, right? To me, I don't think that's actually accurate. You have to engage with someone. You have to see, what their wants are, what their
Right.
needs are, and how can I help support someone.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, networking is a huge thing. I want to get better. I see you're the king of networking, and I want to learn from you. With all the great LinkedIn posts and trying to be engaging with a lot of your followers.
Yeah,
so.
Sure. And it takes time. It really does. There's a time commitment to do. I don't mean like longevity. I mean a time commitment to, to do that, because it's difficult if you're working and you have businesses, and to make that time, find that time is really going to be challenging, but extremely necessary. And like you said, critical to the growth of yourself and, those who because your network, and we say at the beginning of this podcast, right? Your network is your net worth. Why do we say that? Because it's really true. Those people who and those who are in your inner circle and those who your outer circle, whatever you want to call it, that is really everything. That's everything. You can accomplish anything in life if you have the right people surrounding you. So it's really true. It takes time. I would say the biggest advice I would say for someone who wants to become more actively involved in networking is social media. Right now is the easiest way to do it. There's, you don't have to run out to go to networking events. Those are great. I wish we'd get back to them full time. I love going to the conferences and the networking events and stuff like that. But what I love more than anything else is, social media, because you can be it's so involved in multiple people, multiple discussions simultaneously, and nobody knows about the others. I mean, if you're at a networking event, you got to talk to one person, and maybe you're in a group of 3 or 4, and you can but you can't carry on. Social media, you can carry on like 10 different conversations about 10 different things all going on, or 20 or 30, obviously the more time, but there's the time commitment right?
Sure. Yeah.
That's what I love about it.
Yeah, and I mean, a great example of this is, I mean, I know on Facebook, I mean, there's all these, mobile home investor groups or multifamily groups, and being a part of those for me has been has been great. I mean, there's a lot of newer investors, and then for me personally, I've been able to tell them, hey, look, these are things that I made mistakes on early on. Look out for them.
Absolutely.
And for them, they're going to take that as value, and they're going to see, okay, hey, how can I make sure when I do, whenever they do their business, they don't make the same mistake. And then for me, it's been, hey, asking the same questions. Hey, we have this deal on the table. What, anyone have advice on some aspect of it?
Sure. So much giving. It's really true. And it's a two-way street, but I get a lot of benefit from those Facebook groups as well. So definitely check that out. Fourth and final question for you, Apurva, is what does success mean to you?
So I would say financial freedom is probably the top of the list, and then time, right? So for me, I think for sure the financials matter, and having that is definitely great. But then also having the time to do everything you want to do in your life, right? I don't want to get to a spot where I'm 65 or 70 years old and saying, okay, now is the time to retire.
Mm-hmm.
That's one way some people may think that's okay, that's fine, that's great, good for them. But for me, I want to be able to live every day, right? I want to have the time to hang out with my wife. I want to hang out with my friends and family, and go on vacation and things like that. So having that, the financial freedom and the time are definitely hand in hand for what I see as success.
100%. That's awesome. Very, very cool. Apurva, it's been a pleasure hearing from you, getting to know you a little better, and having this conversation. Where can our listeners find you or reach out to you if they choose to?
Sure. Yeah. So definitely LinkedIn is a great way to contact me, Apurva Shah. And then Facebook, same thing, the same as my first and last name. Definitely reach out. I'd love to, talk to your listeners, talk to anyone, talk about real estate, talk about just getting together and networking. So
awesome.
Thank you, Yona, for having me.
Awesome. It's been a pleasure. I've enjoyed the conversation, gained a lot. I hope our listeners have too. And remember, the best advice comes only when you ask. Real quick, I have one question for you. Did you like this episode? If you did, I want to ask you a huge favor. See, the biggest thing that helps this podcast grow and that will spread this message to the whole world is that if you leave a review, a rating, and subscribe to the podcast. What that does is it basically tells the platforms that this podcast is out on is that you like my stuff and I'm doing something right. So take a few seconds out of your day, hit that subscribe button, leave a rating or review. I would be extremely grateful. Also, I want to hear from you guys. So I want to hear some feedback. If you have any questions for future episodes, please find me on LinkedIn. Send me a DM, connection request, Yona Weiss, and I'd love to hear from you.